Hi there, this is John from the freegiftfromgod.com podcast. I'm continuing to read the insights I found while seeking to understand what the scriptures say the true Church of God should look like. All of this information comes from my free ebook titled The True Church of God, and it can be downloaded freely at the freegiftfromgod.com website. So let me continue reading, and I hope you'll find something of value in the insights that the Lord has given to me. Today I want to start looking at some of the common processes and doctrines in the churches. And a lot of this will be interesting because there are many practices, many doctrines, items and paraphernalia that form the processes of worship in the modern Christian church. They differ from one church to the next, as over the past 2,000 years there have been divisions in the church, and each group has redefined what they believe is necessary for the practice of church worship. One of the problems we face as Christians today is that many false practices, false teachings, and pagan rituals have infiltrated the purity of the church doctrines. These false teachings have been deemed as acceptable practices for worship in the modern church. Indeed, some of the things in the church today are so widely accepted that to even suggest they may be false leads to calls of heresy, causing people to be cast out or excommunicated from the church. One only needs to consider the effect of the opposition against people like Martin Luther, William Tyndale and others, some of whom were even martyred because they opposed what was false as they tried to bring some level of truth back into the church. As we read the Bible, we find insight into what is and is not acceptable in terms of the requirements for worship. And this list here, most of which refutes false teachings in the church today, is not comprehensive by any means. The great raft of practices, doctrines, ordinances, forms of worship, and so on go much further than what I've covered in this series of podcasts. Those that I do look at here will form a good start, as these are some of the most common points of error in the church today. They show just how deep the deception of the devil is and how he has tainted the teachings of the church. Satan's lies have turned much of the modern church far away from the truth, so far that it ceases to even resemble what the true living church should look like. The specific things that we'll consider in the next few podcasts will cover these topics: lay and clergy, the altar, garments, sceptres and rods, prayer books, church buildings, holy days, worship of saints, the Trinity, the cross, prosperity gospel. It's because of the way these things have defiled many of the churches today that the church in some places is no longer the living church it should be, but as the words of Revelation chapter 3 verses 1 to 3 says, "And to the angel of the church in Sardis write, the words of him who has the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. I know your works. You have the name of being alive, and you are dead. Awake and strengthen what remains and is on the point of death, for I have not found your works perfect in the sight of my God. Remember then what you received and heard. Keep that and repent. If you will not awake, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what hour I will come upon you." Revelation chapter 3, verses 1 to 3. And that's the important thing for us, and that's what I'm going to be looking at least in part, over the next few podcasts. Much of the church today has the name of being alive, but it is dead, just as this church in Sardis was. So I'm going to begin in the next one looking at the concept of lay and clergy in the church. So that's all I have for this week. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you'll join me again next week as I continue looking at these aspects of the true Church of God. All of the information I'm covering here is contained in a free ebook titled The True Church of God that can be downloaded from the freegiftfromgod.com website. So until next week, this is John from the freegiftfromgod.com podcast signing off and hoping you have a blessed week ahead. God bless.